What's going on, guys? Black Scout Survival, and this is a live video, just so you know. But I'm going to apologize up front because I'm going to be all over the place in this video just because there's so much to cover, and I'm going to be going back and forth on a lot of things. But I will say this, is that I'm not sure, but my followers must think, a lot of them, must think I don't have the internet. They must think that, like, I live in a hole somewhere. The amount of people that sent me Shawn Ryan's podcast was unbelievable. Do you not think that I knew about that? I actually knew about that the day before. If you watch the video the day prior to that, I state in there that there was a manifesto released on a podcast the following day. I'd already heard from some sources the day before that it was going to be released. Now, I didn't know exactly what podcast, but I felt like it was going to be Shawn Ryan. But anyway, two things I did learn from the podcast. One, Tim Kennedy has government handlers. Now, Tim Kennedy, I don't like him just because I don't really like him as an individual, just because the way he acts. He acts like a 14-year-old boy. But number two is that he is anti-Second Amendment. So I don't care for that dude whatsoever. He's made multiple anti-Second Amendment comments, this and that. Nothing takes away that he was Special Forces, or he is Special Forces, and that he was in the UFC. I mean, as I can give him respect for these things. However, as a man, I just don't like him. I don't watch his content because he's like a 14-year-old boy. I've thought that for years. He's annoying, and you would think he would act like a man. But besides that, the reason why I say that is in the Shawn Ryan video, he says that Tim Kennedy contacted him for USOC, Special Operations Command. So Tim Kennedy is handled by Special Operations Command. That means that I think he's in the National Guard. I mean, he's not even with, I don't even believe he was with the SF unit. And he is that controlled that they use him to handle things. So that's number one. That's a huge flag for something. Number two is that Shawn Ryan will send information about you to the FBI, federal agents. He said that. He said, "I will send this to the FBI." Multiple times in the video, he said, "I will send this to the feds. We'll send this to FBI. Oh, we need to give this to FBI." He said that multiple times during that podcast. I hear him say constantly when I have seen his content is that he does not trust the government, but multiple times he mentions sending stuff to the FBI, a DOJ, a compromised deep state organization. I would not send them shit at all. Now, Shawn Ryan I like as a man. I don't watch his content mainly because he's like, hey man, there's no energy there. I just don't like it. But he has some cool guests on sometimes. But anyway, I just don't watch it because I like to fill my time with things that are not as dry. But the thing is that him say he's going to send stuff to the FBI multiple times. Right? Screw the FBI. I'm not sending them anything. Get a warrant. Send freaking feds with a warrant to come ask for what you want. I'm not giving anything up. So it just goes against much of what he says. So anyway. I'm going to get into some things they said on the podcast and things like that, but I don't want to draw some attention to some other things. So Tim Kennedy actually was on a show with this guy. What's funny is that Tim Kennedy, how arrogant this son of a bitch is, he sent out a tweet saying, does anybody know this guy? And he was on a TV show with this guy. This guy is so full of his own self that he didn't even remember he was on a television show with this guy, right? It's crazy. Like I filmed some shows too, man, and I can remember everybody, even the freaking people that worked on the set, right? But anyway, he filmed a show with him on History Channel back in the day. He went by Matt Berg. That's why I told you he went with on social media. He used the name Matt Berg. He used Berg because it was short. So he was on a TV show with Tim Kennedy, but Tim Kennedy did not recall that, because he's too busy saying he's an Army Ranger, qualified sniper, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I'm not bashing Tim Kennedy. He's done great things, but I just don't like him as a man. Anyway, so the thing that they're trying to do already about this gentleman is paint him, and this is it here, as some kind of PTSD, struggling with mental health. So this is the rap and smear that we talk about quite often, is that the rapid smear. He struggled with mental health. Investigators say, authorities say U.S. soldier Matthew LIvelsberger died by blah, blah, blah in a Tesla Cybertruck that exploded at Trump International Hotel. So they're already trying to paint this narrative that this guy was a lunatic. But if you talk to anyone that knew this guy, they said he was freaking, I mean, he graduated with honors at his college. He was All-American, I think, football player, All-American kid, phenomenal football player. Not All-American, but I'm using that as a term of being a good kid. And then doing very well in the military. Okay, he went straight 18 X-ray program straight through. Okay, so he went straight into special forces. Odd. Now, there are notes that police said they were found on the phone. So this is aside from the email that I think it's Chief Warrant Officer Intel guy Shoemate showed on the Shawn Ryan podcast, and it said, consider this last sunset of 2024 and my actions that end our sickness and a new chapter of health for our people. He wrote according to the records. He says, rally around Trump, Musk, Kennedy, and ride the wave to the highest hegemony for all Americans. He also wrote, this was not a terrorist attack. It was a wake-up call. Americans only pay attention to spectacles of violence. What better way to get my point across than a stunt with fireworks and explosives? Why did I personally do it now? I needed to cleanse my mind of the brothers I've lost and relieve myself of the burden of the life it took. So a lot of people on the Shawn Ryan podcast, viewing the Shawn Ryan podcast, the theory came out that maybe he's still alive. One being because the DNA from that body did not match his newborn child. Okay, so that is obviously something to think about. The DNA did not match the body that was in the vehicle to the newborn child that he just had. So that's one of two things. That wasn't him in the vehicle, or his wife had a baby by someone else. Now, he had in the vehicle a passport and a CAT card. And these survived the blast, although the body was so mutilated that they could only recognize visibly some of the tattoos. So that would be hard to make the tattoos look like, to put tattoos on someone that isn't him that looks like his. That would be hard. So that leads me to believe it was him, or some very sophisticated body double, which anything's possible. But I think it's him. Now, what you would do is put identification in there just to kind of just go ahead and shut the trail down. If you wanted to make the trail cold, put IDs in there and make sure they survive, right? Although nothing else survived in there, which was odd. That those were the surviving things. The other thing is to use the Desert Eagle. What country manufactures Desert Eagles? Just ask yourself that, number one. But the thing is that during that time, if you watch the blast video, there's a gentleman right beside the video before the blast. The Desert Eagle is a very large. I mean, you're going to know. The dude didn't even move. So that leads me to believe it happened before the truck got there. Now, the truck can drive itself from what I understand. So maybe it happened before him. But the other thing is there's some video of him I'm going to show real quick prior to the incident.
That he opens the door of the vehicle, he retrieves a coat, he puts that coat on, and you're going to see that at different parts to include the photo that the sheriff talked about. We use this video information as well as what I said earlier about the financial records in terms of purchases being made with different credit cards, call data records, a video canvas at multiple locations, trying to use all of that to corroborate that the individual that we've identified is the same individual that drove that Tesla during that route that we've identified. Please keep in mind, this is a very extensive investigation, so there's a lot of content for us to review and examine. We're just showing examples and samples as we get them. There's more information as we go through it. But in this video, you can see even the distinctive jacket that he is wearing. So
there's some video, and this is him somewhere buying something with the jacket on. Again, Desert Eagle, very odd selection for a firearm. You know, in the video, which was old, that he was with Tim Kennedy, he says his favorite handgun was the M9, which is a Beretta, like military issue pistol. I'm sure he switched that since then to probably Glock or something to that effect. But the thing is that Desert Eagle would be odd. Now, so again, they're saying the DNA does not match this child. So either his wife has had a baby by someone else, or that was not him in the truck. But again, like I said, they identified the tattoos. They identified him from these tattoos that he has here. So something's very odd. Now, his wife, I mentioned the first time, was a lady named Sarah. She was extreme leftist, Bernie supporter, and they divorced. So he was not with that lady currently. He married another lady called Jen Davis. Now, he had a girlfriend in between that. I'm going to talk about that girlfriend in a moment. But I'll show a video from the neighbor real quick.
Oh, he sold a Mustang not too long ago to one of his friends. Yeah, and the last time I spoke to him was not too long ago. He was asking for like a tool for his car. Yeah, his wife was really nice. Like, I'm sorry.
No worries.
No,
it's
I'm
okay.
just like shooken up right now because
Did they have any kids, or was it just him and his wife?
him and his wife, and they just had a kid.
Okay.
They just had a kid.
Do you know how recently they had a kid? Like how old?
Not too
No.
long. Yeah,
Okay.
very young.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Do you know how long they've lived here in Colorado
They
Springs?
lived here. So I have been here for 2 years now. So they've been here longer than I don't know. Exactly
Yeah.
I think his
how
last
long.
residence was 2019 at a different address. So he might have moved in somewhere around then. These are all pretty new, so 2020 seems about right.
Okay. So this lady's was his neighbor, confirmed the Mustang. Now let's talk about the in-between girlfriend. This lady here, Alicia Errett, this was ex-girlfriend, was contacted by him. She told authorities they met in spy school, whatever that means. Whatever that means. So she told authorities, or no, she told the news that Matthew suffered a traumatic brain injury in 2019. Eric said that his behavior, this girl here said his behavior changed in 2019 after he returned home from the Middle East with a traumatic brain injury. In an interview, Alicia Eric said that she noted his isolation and untreated depression following his injury. Despite this, she says, Matthew was a good man. He was one of the kindest men I ever knew. She received texts from him on Sunday talking about the Cybertruck. Now, this is actually something that, if I'm just going to theorize things, this is going to come into play. Coming from the state of mind. Okay. Now, you see the Cybertruck from the blast. The Cybertruck obviously was chosen because it contained the majority of the blast. Okay, look here. So you see the beginning text. You can almost read some of it, and I'm just going to speculate what it says. It probably says, what have you been doing the past couple of years? How was Germany? Because he just texted her out of nowhere. Why would a man text his ex-girlfriend out of nowhere? Because that's what this was. He texted her out of nowhere. He goes, oh, okay, it's been a while. So much learning and fun. I rented a Tesla Cybertruck. It's the shit. I'm building drones in my new position. You would love it because obviously they're spies. They went to some spy school together. He sends more pictures. He says, I feel like Batman or Halo. She goes, I don't know if it's cool or I should bully you about it, probably because she's a leftist. Okay. And Elon is obviously synonymous with alt-right at this point. So why would someone text their ex-girlfriend out of nowhere? What have you been doing the past couple of years? Well, it probably goes in that he married Jen Davis, and it's reported that Jen Davis said that she ended their relationship the day after Christmas. So on December 26th, she ended the relationship with Matt over allegations of infidelity. So that would make sense that he would leave and then go contact his ex-girlfriend. He's looking for some type of companionship, right? So I can see that. Now, let's see this here. Cybertruck's bomber's wife dumped him, quote, days before Las Vegas hotel explosion. Okay. Now, let's get to the email. Okay, this email was read on Shawn Ryan. I'm going to read it for those who have not seen it. the few people that didn't email me to go watch Shawn Ryan show. Anyway, you can maybe screenshot and blow it up, but in case you can't, I will read it to you. It says, in the case I do not make it to my decision point or onto the Mexico border, so maybe he was at the crossroads of what he was going to decide to do. I am sending this now. Please do not release this until 1 January and keep my identity private until then. He says, first off, I'm not under any duress or hostile influence. My first vehicle was a 2006 black Ford Mustang. Hence, the neighbor talked about that. What we have been seeing now, now look at this. This is where I feel like, first off, this is where I feel like Shawn Ryan missed it completely. They focused completely on the war crimes. His first email, this guy's educated, intelligent guy. He drops this information out of the gate. Okay. So what he says is what we've been seeing with the quote unquote drones. He doesn't say drones. He says quote drones, because that's not what they are, is the operational use of gravitational propulsion systems powered by aircraft, most recently China and the East Coast, but throughout history, the U.S. Only we in China have this capability. Our open location for this activity in the box is below. I don't know where that is because I didn't see it, but he discusses that. Okay. Now he says China has been launching them from the Atlantic, from submarines for years. This goes into what we heard and what I have talked about the water. There was a police officer or sheriff's deputy that videoed these orbs coming from the water. And if you remember, the Pentagon immediately denied it, said it wasn't true. So this corroborates what we saw from this police officer that just vanished. No talk of drones. That completely went by the wayside. Everybody's about Mike Johnson, Speaker Mike Johnson, completely by the wayside of the drones. He says China has been launching them from the Atlantic, from submarines for years, but this activity recently has picked up. As of now, it's just a show of force to show that it's like how they use the balloons, which are also part of integrated comm system. There are a dozen of these balloons in the air at any given time. He says the so what is because of the speed and stealth of these unmanned aircraft. They're the most dangerous threat to national security that has ever existed. They basically have unlimited payload capacity and can park it over the White House if they want it. And it's checkmate. Now, talking about this, how quickly, now we heard initially with the drones about Iran possibly working with China. These were Chinese drones given to Iran and off of a mothership outside. And they immediately shut that politician down. Even though he had inside information, they shut it down, right? And it's no surprise that they did that, because it cuts it out. You're a nut job. They always say you're a nut job. And if we go into the UAP hearings that just happened, they talk about all these sort of things. They talk about at which speed these things can operate, which human bodies cannot withstand, the G-forces. And they basically left us clueless. But this corroborates all of that. And whenever they ask these guys, do our adversaries have they recovered these alien craft? They said they did, that they also had this craft. Now, who's a better reverse engineer than China? China reverse engineers literally everything that we do. Everything. They get something and reverse engineering, and they're impeccable at it. I'd say they're probably better at us at it, because they've been reverse engineering forever. So China can now have a weapon that has a payload of nuclear capacity and could park it anywhere, because these things can hover. Hence why the government immediately shut this down. They don't want to scare Americans that we are in a checkmate situation. This guy's first body of his email, his final email, was this. Now, he said China is employing them in this way forward. Let me put the email back up for you. He says that and they can attack anywhere on the East Coast. He's saying that he's being followed. So the next thing he says is he's being followed by the FBI or Homeland Security, and they're looking to move on me. Okay. So he feels this is a guy that knows tradecraft. This is a guy who was special operations. He was an intelligence guy in special operations. He's got high-level security clearances. He's been to a spy school with this lady. He's saying that he's being followed. Huge. He would know that. He's using encrypted communications to try to reach out to people. Okay. And he's talking about wanting to go to the Mexico border or his decision point. I think in that moment, he was looking for help. He was trying to throw a lifeline to someone big where he could get maybe whistleblower status. He was asking to speak to Pete Hegseth, Shawn Ryan, I forget who else it was, but someone else. But he's throwing lifelines out to try to get whistleblower status because he's being hunted by the tyrannical government, FBI possibly, who Shawn Ryan just said, I'll give over all the information and text we have to by the way. And he says, I don't think they will though, because I have I'm armed and I have a V-bed, right? So he has explosive device in his vehicle. He said, I've been trying to maintain a very visible profile and have kept my phone, and they are definitely digitally tracking me. I have knowledge of this program. And then he goes on to say also war crimes that were covered up during airstrikes in the Vietnamese province of Afghanistan in 2019 by administration, DOD, DEA, and CIA. I conducted targeting for these strikes over 125 buildings, and 65 were struck because of civcas that killed hundreds, civilian casualties. And he says he was spotting civilians on initial ISR, and it was supposed to take 6 minutes to scramble aircraft from CENTCOM. The UN basically called these war crimes, but the administration made them disappear. I was part of that cover-up. And so I don't know if my abduction attempt is related to either. He said, I worked with General Miller's, which name is not redacted in this email. It's redacted it further. IO staff, and this as well as response to, I can't read that part. Commander at the time can validate, some other commander, I think it's redacted, another commander can validate this. You need to elevate. So Shawn Ryan and his guy, they went off on the war crimes. Do you not think America's committed war crimes except for this? Like Shawn Ryan and them guys acted like it was the first time they heard about some war crimes. What? They spent the rest of the talking about that. Really? Because in the last part of the message, he says, you need to elevate this to the media so we can avoid world war, because this is mutually assured destruction situation. He just mentioned the war crimes, that he knew about it. He was part, but that is not the body of his email. That is not what he is wanting to get out. He's wanting to get out that we are on the cusp of being attacked and maybe taken over by China. But man, Shawn Ryan and them, they went on that was it. That war crimes. You think we hadn't been part of war crimes? We don't do dirty shit. Is this the first time you've heard of it, man? Meanwhile, hand over some more stuff to the FBI. Everybody on the show gets sent stuff to the FBI. I don't know. I'm just kidding. So anyway, he says, you need to elevate this to the media so we can avoid world war, because this is a mutual assured destruction. MAD is what it's called. Situation. For vetting, my LinkedIn is Matthew LIvelsberger, an active duty 18 Zulu out of 110. My profile is public. I have active TSSCI with UAP and USAP access. What he's talking about there, you can see his LinkedIn here, is he has top secret compartmented information access, security clearance. He works with drones. This is the man that knows. Why would he wait to now to do it? Maybe it was his last hoorah because his old lady found out he was cheating, whatever. But this is what he knew. This is what he did. We just had the stuff going on over New Jersey that the government is trying to just shut down like nothing happened. We're focused on Mike Johnson and all the YouTubers are making videos about Hillary Clinton getting a Medal of Freedom and George Soros. Who freaking cares? This man put his life on the line and maybe did give his life, for this information to get out because it's that serious. I don't know why people cannot see there is something very wrong going on and they're acting like nothing's happening. Oh, yeah, man. Let's go watch a funny video about politics. Something very bad is happening. And this guy, for whatever reason, maybe it's because his old lady situation, he just said, screw it. Let me put it out there. Because certainly he would be doomed for releasing this kind of information. I think he just threw the war crimes in there to sprinkle, but everybody's biting that shit up. They're biting it up. War crimes. Dude, go back to the beginning of U.S. We've been committing war crimes forever. I mean, literally, JFK got taken out by his own people. And this is like, we're talking about our adversaries having super advanced warfare technology. Like that is it. That is what this is about. Hence why Trump Hotel, Tesla truck. Again, he made a contained explosive for it to be a show. Now, we can look at two theories here. Two theories. He's alive. He did this to make a scene and he exfilled and he's gone. He's off the grid. Possible. Or he's not. This was his last gig. Now, he was upset about his information, his relation. He hits his ex-girlfriend up. I mean, that does seem like a likely scenario. I'm in time of trouble, man, and reaching out to people I cared about, and I want to get this information. Now, he was brushed off by a lot of people. He tried to reach out to a lot of people. And I don't know if he reached out to me or not. I did receive a very strange email, someone asking to talk to me on encrypted. I never answer these people because I fear they're probably federal agents. So I never answer these sort of things. But why would he wait till now? Just after his wife boots him, maybe? Or maybe he just want to get this information out, right? He's not spoken about the war crimes in years, but the drone thing is just now happening. Hence why I think the timing. He was a special forces soldier, small unmanned aircraft systems qualified, implying that he's trained to be a drone pilot. He's in that. He has top secret sensitive compartmented information. If you don't know what that means, so if you go to someone at the CIA and not Shawn Ryan's, and I'm not beating up on Shawn, not like a lot of people that are CIA contractors are like secure, like they're just security guards for real CIA guys. Real CIA guys, when you talk to them, they're compartmented. So let's say I have a super secret clearance, and I'm going to break this down to my level, the dumbest level ever. That you only know about information that pertains to your mission, right? That's what compartmented means. So you're not going to know about new weapon system being formed if you're part of Special Activities Division. You're going to know about intel briefings to go conduct direct action or something like that. You're not going to know about freaking some craft out at Area 51. Is Area 51, Area 54, whatever, Area 51. You're not, because it's compartmented. That the reason they do that is so that you don't have people just leaking information all over the place. They keep it compartmented. That way they know who knows what. Hence why elected officials have no idea what's going on within our private military industrial complex. The stuff they're building and stuff, they have no idea because they're only elected in maybe for 4 years and they're out. Even the president doesn't know about much of these things because it's so compartmented. Now, sorry, I saw somebody say something funny, but it could be those two things. He was at the end of his road. He's had enough. The wife catching him doing something was icing on the cake, or it was all a huge setup. The wife's compromised. She's playing along with it. She's saying, yeah, this happened. He left. Because the funny thing is that she initially said, I don't know if you remember this in my first video, and I showed this on media, where she was talking to media and she said, oh, he went ghost a few days before. But now they had a disagreement because of this infidelity on the 26th, and he left. But he actually just went ghost and was going camping, is what she said initially. So maybe she's been compromised already. You have to understand, guys, when it's this level of secret classified information, the government is willing to do anything to cover it up. I mean anything. Absolutely anything. You can look back. I mean, there's even a documentary on Netflix years ago talking about a guy that was part of the MK Ultra program. He was a doctor out of Frederick, Maryland, and he was offed, thrown out of a hotel window because he was part of a program, and he under drugs, they gave him LSD. He wound up leaking information. They interrogated him under drugs, and he leaked information, so they took him out. Jimmy Carter, who just passed away, by the way, awarded the family like $2 million settlement because it came out that he was murdered by the CIA. So trust me, they're willing to do anything. Payouts. How much money did we give to terror, and how much money do we still give to terrorist organizations? In Afghanistan, we were handing bags of money to freaking people. So this is part of the deploy, man. They do it. They do it. But again, I feel like I'm glad Shawn Ryan released the information. I'm not happy about him wanting to give everything to the FBI. I think that they really dived in on the war crimes part, where I think he was just mentioning that because that's something he knew. But the beginning of the letter, end of the letter, talking about mutual assured destruction, and that China, our biggest adversary, who's planning to make a move on Taiwan probably any day now, has advanced technology, and who knows if we have it or not. We know they have it, is what he says. He doesn't say we have it. We know they have it. John, I appreciate you, my brother. Steve, the Cybertruck self-driving. Yes. And John, thanks for gifting some memberships. Guys, I appreciate you hanging out with me. I want to share this information. Drop your comment. Let me know what you think. Maybe I'm totally wrong. Maybe I'm totally wrong. Let me know. I want to know. You know, the thing is that a lot of this comes down to critical thinking, think tanks. Your idea, your theories matter. Okay, so leave them in the comments. I want to know, each one of you, every one of you guys watching, leave me your theory. Whether if it's the same as mine or not, leave your theory. I want to know what your idea is and stuff like that. Guys, I appreciate you hanging out with me. And always remember to stay frosty, stay strapped, and always stay dangerous, my friend.